Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got another combo that one of you guys requested that we test out, and I've got some high hopes for it because it should give us a very nice looking pattern considering what we know these shells are capable of and what we've seen from this choke in our previous testing. I expect to see a pretty nice looking pattern today. But as for today's shells, I brought out some more of the Winchester Longbeard XR loads. These ones are the 12 gauge 3-inch 1 7/8 ounce payload of 5-shot, moving about 1,050 feet per second. I think by now we all know what the Longbeard shells are capable of, so we know they're probably going to be some good performers. But as for the setup we're going to run them through, I brought out the Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mag. This one's got a 28-inch barrel on it, and for that choke we've got an old school Hi-Viz LongSpur. Yes, the same Hi-Viz shooting systems that makes a lot of the fiber optic sights and stuff nowadays. It's a 705 constriction, and from what I understand, it's probably from somewhere in the mid 2000s to early 2010s era, so say 2009, give or take a little. But for what it is, it's not the tightest constriction at 705 for an 835 turkey choke, but it's got some fantastic machining work on it. Easily probably the best feeling choke that I've ever threaded into this shotgun, and the inside is a mirror polish, so very nice machine quality on this choke, and should perform pretty well with these Longbeards. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. The turkey target is at 40 yards, and I've got the chrono so we can get our velocity. I've got some pretty high hopes for this combination, considering how well the Longbeards have done through the stock 710 turkey full choke from this 835. So I'm thinking this Hi-Viz 705 should give us another really nice performance. But let's take our shot and see what we get. Alright, that shell gave us 1229 through the chrono. The boss claim on these particular ones is the 1050 claim, but even though the 1 7/8 ounce loads claim a little lower velocity, they still seem to give us right around 1200 feet per second most of the time when we test them. So this low 1200 number is very much normal for what I would expect from these. So nothing out of the ordinary up here, even though it is more than their claim. But how do they perform down there at 40? Let's go check it out and see. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and I gotta say, that is pretty impressive. I expected a tight pattern, but yeah, that one is pretty condensed down. We were unfortunately just a touch high. More than likely it was probably me, considering it's still very early in the morning and this was only the second shot I've taken today. Either way, we absolutely see a devastating looking pattern there. If that was centered up a little bit better, then yeah, he would absolutely be crushed. And even then, we still do have a dead bird. There are multiple through the brain and the top of the spine, so absolutely good enough, and it does give you a little bit of leeway to work with at 40, but not really a whole lot. Now I will back up here, give you guys a little bit more of a broad view of it, because we do have a few little splotchy bits of shot around the edges. We've got a number of flyers down here around the bottom edge and a little bit of splotchy stuff over there off the right. Having a few flyers is not uncommon for a Longbeard shell, or most lead shells in general, but we might have a few extras around there than what we typically see from these shells. And since we were just a touch high on the paper, I will go ahead and throw up a 10-inch circle equivalent so you guys can see what the core looks like, because a lot of our shot is right there within that 10-inch core area. It's got a pretty nasty looking core to it right above this bird's head. It might have a couple tiny little splotchy bits in it. There might be a couple hotter areas up here in the middle of your screen with a little void over here slightly farther to the left. Nothing major, but it might not be the 100% perfectly even uniform pattern from this combination either. But still, I mean, can you really complain too much about that? That is absolutely going to be a devastating pattern at 40 yards, and with a lead 5 you could very easily push that pattern to 50 or 55 yards and be perfectly fine still. That's another one that you're gonna run out of energy with a lead 5 before you run out of pattern capability. So if you're a field hunter, that combo would absolutely get the job done, but you probably want to be a little careful of a few of those flyers if there's another bird close to him. So yeah, I expected to see a pretty nice looking pattern here, and I think that's probably what we got. We've got a really hot core core to it. It's a tight pattern overall, but there are a few more flyers and stuff around the edges than what I was kind of hoping to see. So on one hand, kind of maybe a little bit of a mixed result with those flyers, but still with that core right there, I wouldn't hesitate to turkey hunt with this all day long. So once again, it seems like that old Hi-Viz 705 is a pretty nasty performing choke. It's given us a few pretty impressive results so far, and with the machining quality, and considering I bought it out of the bargain bin for $6 or something, I don't think we can complain too much about that. So looking good here today. Absolutely a deadly pattern, no question about it. And here's the wad from that shell. Looks very much normal, but we do have one petal that kind of tore a little bit. That could have potentially been the reason we saw a few more flyers down there around the bottom, if this petal kind of did weird things as it exited the end of the barrel. That choke does have a couple small ports, so it could have just barely caught on something there. But overall, nothing special to see. A little bit of buffer material down there, but nothing out of the ordinary. And it looks very much normal, so nothing to see here. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that performance right there? I think we pretty well already covered it at this point. That's a very nasty looking pattern. It's a very tight, very hot core, but we do have a good handful of flyers around the edges as well. So it might not be the most perfectly even pattern that we've ever seen from these Longbeard 5s, but still, for some people, that's perfect. For other people, that might even be a little bit too tight, but it definitely seems like the Longbeard shells from an 835 perform pretty consistently well through chokes from that 700 to 710 constriction, which, considering the 835 is overboard to a 10 gauge bore size, that makes those an extra full choke constriction, so it does make sense, gives them a little more breathing room to work with, and clearly, I think they perform pretty well. I expected to see a pretty nice pattern coming into it here, and I think that's probably about what we got. So I would say looking pretty good for that old Hi-Viz LongSpur. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of the Longbeard 1 7/8 ounce 5s or one of those old Hi-Viz 705 LongSpur chokes? And if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Is that a pattern or a combo that you would hunt with? Or maybe is it a little bit too tight for you? Or maybe a few too many flyers? And what other shell or choke combos do you want to see with either those Longbeard 5s or that old Hi-Viz choke? Let me know all that down below, as well as if you know a little bit more of the history on those Hi-Viz LongSpur chokes, then by all means, I'd love to know some more about them, because there's really not much out there on them. They seem to be some pretty good performing chokes so far. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.